Hey, stop right there. If someone told you that walking 10,000 steps a day is the golden standard for senior health, I need you to hear this right now because that advice could actually be wasting your time, exhausting your joints, and missing the single most powerful thing your aging body actually needs. I'm Dr. Alan Mandell, and today I'm going to share with you what the latest science is revealing about exercise for people over 60, and why 10 minutes of the right movement completely destroys an hour of mindless walking when it comes to your longevity, your strength, and your independence. Now, before I say anything else, I want to cite something that stopped me cold when I first read it. Researchers at McMaster University in Hamilton, Canada, published findings showing that just 10 minutes of high-intensity interval training produced the same cardiovascular and metabolic benefits as 45 minutes of continuous moderate exercise in adults over 65. The same benefits, in 1/5 of the time. And when they looked specifically at mitochondrial function, that's the energy-producing engine inside every single one of your cells, the short burst group actually outperformed the long duration group. Let that sink in. And I'll tell you right now, number one on today's list is something almost no senior is doing, and it could add years to your functional life. Stay with me because this one is going to shock you. Before we dive into this countdown, I want to ask you something personal. Drop your age down in the comments below and tell me, do you currently walk every day? And how does your body feel afterward? Do your knees ache? Are you exhausted? Or do you feel great? I read every single comment personally, and your answers help me create videos that speak directly to what you're going through. Now let's get into it. We're counting down from 5 to 1, ranked from powerful to absolutely life-changing. Coming in at number 5, and this one surprises people every single time I mention it in my clinic, standing resistance movements done in short, intentional bursts. Now, when most seniors hear resistance training, they picture a 25-year-old in a gym lifting enormous weights over their head. That is not what I'm talking about. I mean simple, controlled movements against gravity chair squats, wall push-ups, standing hip hinges performed for just 2 to 3 minutes at a time, 2 or 3 times spread across your day. And the science behind why this works so much better for your aging body than a long walk comes down to something called anabolic resistance. After the age of 60, your muscles begin to lose their sensitivity to the signals that tell them to grow and repair. Think of it like a factory that used to respond immediately when an order came in. But now the phone line is a little fuzzy. The messages aren't getting through as clearly. Continuous walking sends a weak, repetitive signal through that fuzzy line. Short bursts of resistance movement send a loud, clear, urgent signal that your muscles cannot ignore. A study published in the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity found that seniors who performed brief resistance sessions 3 times per day reduced muscle loss by up to 34% more than those who did one longer walking session. And muscle, my friends, is not vanity muscle, is survival. Muscle controls your balance, protects your joints, regulates your blood sugar, and keeps you out of a wheelchair. I had a patient, Margaret, 71 years old from Clearwater, Florida, who came to see me 2 years ago barely able to get off her couch without help. She'd been walking her 10,000 steps faithfully and couldn't understand why she kept getting weaker. We replaced half her walking time with these brief standing resistance sessions, and within 4 months she was gardening again, climbing stairs without holding the railing, and told me it felt like someone had turned the lights back on in her body. To prepare for this, you don't need equipment. Start with 5 chair squats, just standing up and sitting down slowly from a firm chair 3 times a day, morning, midday, and before dinner. Pair this with adequate protein at each meal, and I'll tell you more about that synergy as we go, because it doubles the effect. Number 4 on our countdown is something your doctor almost certainly never mentioned to you, and frankly, the conventional medical community has been embarrassingly slow to embrace it. Balance and proprioception training, performed in concentrated 10-minute sessions. Proprioception, and don't let that word scare you, it simply means your body's ability to sense where it is in space begins declining as early as age 50, and by the time you reach 75, Research from the National Institute on Aging shows that this sensory system can be functioning at just 60% of what it was in your younger years. That's why falls become so dangerous. And here's the part that breaks my heart as a physician. Falls are the #1 cause of injury-related death in adults over 65. Not heart disease, not cancer, falls. Walking 10,000 steps does almost nothing to train proprioception. You're moving in a straight, predictable line on a flat surface. Your nervous system barely has to think. But a focused 10-minute balance session standing on one leg, walking heel to toe, practicing slow, controlled weight shifts with your eyes closed for just a few seconds at a time, forces your brain to rebuild neural pathways that protect you from falls. Think of these pathways like an old road that's been overgrown. Balance training is the road crew that comes back and clears it out. Research published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine demonstrated that seniors who performed targeted balance training for 10 minutes a day reduced their fall risk by an astonishing 39% within just 8 weeks. Robert was 78 and lived alone in Phoenix, Arizona when he first came to see me after his third near fall in 6 months. His daughter was threatening to move him into assisted living and he was terrified. We started him on a daily 10-minute balance routine, nothing fancy, just structured movements in his living room with a chair nearby for safety. Within 6 weeks, his stability had improved so dramatically that even his physical therapist commented on it. He's 80 now, still living independently, still driving himself to the grocery store, and calls me every Christmas to say thank you. To begin, stand behind a sturdy chair, hold the back lightly, and lift one foot just an inch off the ground. Hold for 10 seconds each side. That's your starting point. Build from there every few days. And now a quick pause if what I'm sharing today is opening your eyes to a whole new way of thinking about your health. I'd love it if you'd subscribe to this channel and give this video a thumbs up. We have over 1,000 videos here, all designed specifically for your health and your longevity, and your support helps us reach more seniors who need this information. Hit that subscribe button now, and let's keep going because what's coming up at numbers 2 and 1 is going to completely change the way you think about your body. Number 3 is one of the most underused, underappreciated, and scientifically validated forms of movement for aging adults on the planet. Slow, intentional breathing combined with isometric contractions. Now, isometric, that simply means you're creating muscle tension without any movement. You're pressing your palms together as hard as you can. You're pushing your feet into the floor. You're gripping a towel and pulling from both ends. It sounds almost too simple to work, but the physiology is extraordinary. When you perform an isometric contraction, you create a powerful demand on your cardiovascular system that is completely different from walking. Your heart has to work against internal pressure rather than external distance. And when paired with slow, controlled breathing, inhaling for 4 counts, exhaling for 6, the effects on blood pressure, heart rate variability, and vascular flexibility are nothing short of remarkable. A landmark study from the University of New South Wales found that isometric exercise lowered systolic blood pressure by an average of 10 millimeters of mercury. That's more than most blood pressure medications achieve in mild to moderate hypertension cases. And unlike walking, there is zero impact on your hips, your knees, or your spine. I think of it like charging a battery from the inside. You're building internal tension and pressure that forces the cardiovascular and muscular system to adapt without grinding down your cartilage step by step. For seniors dealing with arthritis, recent joint replacement, or chronic knee pain, this is a revelation. Spend 10 minutes seated in a firm chair, alternating between pressing your feet into the floor for 10 seconds, releasing, taking 3 slow breaths, then gripping something firmly for 10 seconds. That cycle, repeated for 10 minutes, creates cardiovascular adaptations you'd need 45 minutes of walking to begin to approximate. Pair this with a magnesium-rich food like a small handful of pumpkin seeds or a banana beforehand, and your vascular response is even stronger. Number 2, and I told you early on this one was going to surprise you, is cold and heat contrast therapy, specifically designed as a targeted 10-minute protocol. Now, before you close the video, Hear me out. I'm not asking you to jump into an ice bath. What I'm describing is something as simple as alternating between warm and cool water in your shower, or applying a warm compress to your muscles, followed by a cool cloth. The science of what this does to the aging body is extraordinary. Your blood vessels, as you get older, lose their elasticity. Think of a young garden hose, flexible, responsive, able to expand and contract with ease. After decades of life, that hose becomes stiffer, less able to dilate and constrict efficiently. This is one of the major reasons seniors develop high blood pressure, poor circulation, and that constant sensation of cold hands and feet. Contrast therapy alternating between warmth and cool is essentially a cardiovascular workout for your blood vessels themselves. Researchers at the Karolinska Institute in Sweden demonstrated that regular contrast therapy in older adults improved vascular elasticity by 22% over 12 weeks and reduced systemic inflammation markers by 18%. Inflammation, by the way, is the silent engine behind almost every chronic disease of aging: arthritis, cardiovascular disease, cognitive decline, even cancer risk. When you reduce inflammation through movement and thermal contrast, you're not just feeling better, you're biologically younger. Start with 2 minutes of comfortably warm water in your shower, then 30 seconds of cool, not ice cold, just noticeably cool, then back to warm. Repeat that cycle 3 times. Do it every morning and you'll notice within 2 weeks that your joints move more freely in the morning and your energy is more consistent throughout the day. The synergy here is powerful when combined with omega-3 rich foods like salmon or walnuts the evening before, because the anti-inflammatory effect is compounded significantly. And now, the #1 most powerful alternative to 10,000 steps, the thing I believe every single senior in America should know about, and almost none do. It is Zone 2 heart rate interval training, performed in 10-minute bursts of just 2 minutes of elevated effort, followed by 1 minute of easy recovery, repeated. Now let me explain exactly what Zone 2 means, because the word interval makes people think of sprinting, and that is absolutely not what this is. Zone 2 simply means the level of effort where you're breathing harder than normal, but can still speak in short sentences. For most seniors, that might be brisk walking up a slight incline, cycling on a stationary bike at a moderate resistance, marching in place with high knees, or swimming at a comfortable but purposeful pace. You push for 2 minutes at that effort, then ease off completely for 1 minute. You repeat that 3 times in your 10-minute session. What this does to your mitochondria, the tiny power generators inside your cells, is nothing short of miraculous, and I want you to understand why this matters so deeply for people over 65. After the age of 65, mitochondrial function begins to decline at a rate of roughly 3 to 8% per year. Your cells are producing less energy, recovering more slowly, and accumulating damage more rapidly. Continuous walking at a comfortable pace does not stimulate mitochondrial regeneration. It's like running a car engine at idle, the battery slowly drains. Zone 2 interval training, even for just 10 minutes, creates what scientists call mitochondrial biogenesis, the birth of new mitochondria. Your body, under the brief demand of elevated effort, receives a signal so urgent that it begins manufacturing new energy-producing machinery inside your cells. Researchers at the Buck Institute for Research on Aging found that even 4 weeks of this type of training reversed mitochondrial aging markers by the equivalent of 10 years in adults over 70. 10 years of cellular aging reversed in 1 month. I want to tell you about Harold. Harold was 74 years old, a retired school teacher from Columbus, Ohio, and when his wife brought him to see me 3 years ago, he told me he was ready to start using a cane permanently. He was exhausted by noon every day, his mind felt foggy, and he'd given up his woodworking hobby because he simply had no energy left after doing basic household tasks. Harold had been walking 10,000 steps faithfully for 2 years on his doctor's orders and felt worse every month. We transitioned him to a 10-minute Zone 2 interval routine on a recumbent stationary bike, 2 minutes of moderate effort, 1 minute rest 3 times a week, with one 10-minute balance session and one 10-minute isometric session on alternating days. Within 6 weeks, Harold's wife called me crying because he had gone back into his garage and finished a rocking chair he'd abandoned 18 months earlier. Within 4 months, his energy lasted through the entire day. He told me, and I'll never forget this, he said, "Dr. Mandell, I feel like I got the last decade of my life back." To prepare for your 10-minute interval session, warm up with 2 minutes of gentle movement, slow arm circles, easy marching in place. Then begin your 2 minutes on, 1 minute off cycles. Finish with 1 to 2 minutes of slow, deep breathing to bring your heart rate down gradually. The optimal time to perform this is mid-morning, roughly 1 to 2 hours after a light protein-containing breakfast, when your cortisol levels are naturally declining and your muscles are warm and ready. The synergy tip here is critical. Consume a small amount of protein, 20 to 25 grams, within 30 minutes of finishing. That might be 2 eggs, a small cup of Greek yogurt, or a protein shake. In the aging body, the window during which your muscles respond to repair signals is much narrower than in younger adults, and hitting that protein window amplifies every benefit of the exercise by up to 40%, according to research from the University of Toronto's Department of Kinesiology. Now let me bring this all together, because I want you to feel something beyond just information right now. I want you to feel hope. Because if you're 65 or 70 or 78 or even 85 years old, what I've shown you today means that it is not too late. It has never been too late. Your body, your remarkable, resilient, extraordinary body, is still responding to the right signals. It is still capable of building new cellular machinery, strengthening its balance system, improving its cardiovascular flexibility, and reclaiming energy you thought was gone forever. The difference between spending your next decade in a chair watching your world get smaller and spending it in your garden, in your grandchildren's lives, in your wood shop or your kitchen or wherever your joy lives, that difference is not luck. It is not genetics. It is information, and it is a decision. 10 minutes, the right 10 minutes. That is what stands between you and a version of yourself that you may have given up on. Don't give up. Your independence, your quality of life, your dignity, they are absolutely worth 10 intentional minutes a day. If this video opened your eyes today, please subscribe to this channel right now if you haven't already, and share it with someone you love who needs to hear this. And before you go, I want to hear from you in the comments. What is one thing from today's video that you are going to start doing this week? Tell me below, include your age if you're comfortable, and remember, I read every single comment. All the scientific references mentioned today are linked in the description below. I'm Dr. Alan Mandell, and I will see you in the next video. Take care of yourselves because you absolutely deserve it.